Welcome along. It's La Copa Race 4 out of 6. This is the series where the teams compete, and it's quite exciting at the top between No Pins, who appeared dominant, but Copa Hopers, who are pulling back. We shall have a look at the league table in a minute, but just to explain, you can see the teams in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. You have 10 teams there, and all of those will be competing tonight. The teams' riders scores are added together, and the team with the highest score wins the race, but then it's given the lowest points for the league title. So if you've got the highest points for your team, then you will get 1 point, and you can see here No Pins have got 1 point in all of the 3 races so far, so that makes them clear leaders. But Copa Hopers, and this is the wonderful romantic story of this whole thing. Copa Hopers have challenged them. Look at they're only 2 points behind. Ratio Racing, a very credible performance, but way off with 11 points. So 6 points behind Copa Hopers, with Peddlers another 3, Moon Riders, Pokemotion, Dirty Dan's race team. They get my vote for best name. Cycling Club Denmark at 21, OTR James Ogilvy's team, and of course Southborough District Wheelers, the only club team that I'm aware of in there at the bottom with 27 points, but still very credible performances from their individual riders. Now then, Copa Hopers, just so that you understand this, were all the individual riders who weren't members of racing teams, who entered individually and were put together into a team called Copa Hopers. And look, they've taken the series by storm. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Well, I suppose what everybody's looking to see is, can No Pins make it a clean sweep in S4? Now, this is quite a hilly course we've got coming up. I say that there are 2 major climbs. Here we go. Now, it comes out of the road racing circuit at Imola, and just about now, where we are now, we're going to go up the first of the climbs, the Mazzoloni, which has a maximum of 13%. And later on, and you can see at the top left-hand corner of your screen, we go over the second one there. That is Cima Gallisterna, and that maxes at 14%. Those 2 climbs are going to be decisive. It's only 1 lap. The finish there back on the racing circuit at Imola, which you will have heard of through Formula 1 racing. And that is what you've got to look at. Now, if you remember, this was the 2020 UCI Men's World Championship course. We're doing 28.7 kilometres this evening. They did 9 laps of that in the World's Men's in 2020. And so imagine they had to go over those 2 climbs, collectively 18 times. Just twice tonight. There is a little bump before that, as you can see on the elevation, which is no longer up there. But there was a little climb as we come out of the racing circuit, the world famous racing circuit at Imola. So there we have the starters, probably about 34, 35, in fact 45 riders on the line at the moment, and some great names from the RGT scene on there. Now, with 12 seconds to go, you need to start pedalling fast. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast. Let's go. Blast off. Now, you really have to go fast. You can see one rider on the bottom left there got a bit of a slow start, and will have to work very hard to get back into the peloton. If you get dropped now, you are in a bit of difficulty because it will go herring off. This is stuck together quite well, actually. This is stayed together as a peloton very, very neatly, and I suspect that's showing us that we've got a lot of top caliber riders of similar quality. I think the climbs will be the telling difference. Now, you can see anything, the profile at the bottom. If you're new to this, you won't be familiar with that profile. That profile at the bottom, unlike the Zwift one, is basically telling you what the gradients are like. So if it's red, it's steep. If it's green, it's bearable. If it's blue, it's going downhill. If it's dark blue, it's going very fast downhill. So you've basically got it there, and you can see the other thing on the profile in the bottom left-hand corner. You'll see the thing that looks like a light bulb with 3 little dots behind it. That's basically the light bulb is the rider we're following, and all the other dots are other people split off. So we've got an early break here. Kader Alumi, Kay Brown, and Dee Shash, 2 from the UK and 1 from Germany. They're being swept up by the peloton. I would expect this on these flatter stages, but we're about to hit a red zone. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you will see that we're just coming up to the first little red zone. Now, this will only be a ramp, but you can see the gradient there, 8.1 in the top right-hand corner. 8. Don't worry about the cobbles. They don't really make a difference to online racing. They're aesthetic. down to 6.1, but that sort of spread it out a little bit, and Gav is off the front, but I don't think that's going to be significant. It's only a short stretch. This gradient's still 6.1, as you can see at the top. There's somebody gone off the back. You can see right at the back there. I think that might be Timo Aschenbeck. No, maybe not. That's we'll have to check in a moment. But somebody's dropped off the back. So even that little ramp has shed a few riders. And if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, you can see there's at least 3 or 4 dots after the light bulb shaped blob, which is whoever we're following in the peloton at any given time. So the peloton's held together over the first little ramp. You can see the next one's a little bit darker red, so we expect more splintering as we get to that one. So you will see little breaks off the front here, and you can see a few guys, they look like no pins. Julian Fussell we're following there, who's 41st and is the last of the riders. So poor old Julian off the back, Southborough District Wheelers. And we're looking at Brown, and I would guess there's a bit of a team effort for a breakaway here, I think. This can this stick or won't it? You see Keith Brown now putting out 350 watts. It's quite hard. It'll get harder on the climb, especially if they're attacking. 166 heart rate there. But you see, nothing's really sort of pulling off the front at the moment. We've got a gradient of plus 0.4 with our new gradient logo in the bottom right hand corner. Well done Damon for providing that. But it's not splitting up the peloton at the moment. I see somebody else off the back there though. And the guy in red at the back might just, no, he's called back on. So holding together, we dropped another rider just on this little bit. So Henry Farrell here in the OTR kit, and he is well, it tells you everything about Welwyn Garden City there in Hertfordshire. Young man by my standards, and probably lighter and fitter than me too. But in a way, for sorry, not OTR, Moon Riders. Sorry, both have green in their kits, I'm afraid. So Henry Farrell from Welwyn Garden City, not a million miles from where I live, but sitting nicely in the pack for Moon Riders. Now you see all those jerseys there are Moon Riders ones, and just on the right, just out of the picture, you'll see the other green, black, and you've just come into the picture there. The other green, black, and white kit is OTR. So the Moon Riders team here, we've got Henry Farrell, John Stevens, Timo Aschenbeck, and Wouter Claes from Belgium, making up the riders at the moment. This is splendid. Here's Wouter Claes. I know him quite well. Again, a lot younger than me, and a lot leaner and fitter out of Belgium. And Wouter actually is leading my own series at the moment, the West London VR series, Series 4. Wouter is actually in first place in the general classification at the moment, so no doubt looking for another good ride today, Wouter. Gav Ash again on the front. We've seen him on the front quite a bit today. Cyril Berton from France, another name that you'll see regularly in these competitions. Now this is clearly going uphill, because I think this is fragmenting, and the visuals even tell you it's going uphill. I should imagine we're heading towards Mazzoloni. It's 8.8%. That is fairly steep. And if you've ever ridden on an RGT, you'll know that these, once you start getting above 5%, it starts getting telling. And just look how strung out that peloton's become on that gradient, down to 4.8. So it's not been too long, but it's done some damage off the back, and I think we've lost at least 3 riders off the back there. So this is having an attritional effect on the peloton, these climbs, and that in fact was not even the Mazzolano. So we've still got the 2 big ones to come, the Mazzolano and the Cima Gallisterna. There's another little bit of red between here and the end. Poor old Dave Ellis off the back there, and I'm not sure which wasp that is, but there's a Southborough District Wheeler in 38th position there, 35th. So Keith Brown in 34th, but still off the back of the peloton. So what we're looking at, and if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see that the gap between the peloton and D-Baggy is over 100 metres. D-Baggy is not going to get that back. This is stretched, and it's not particularly steep here, just plus 0.3. That's interesting. That means there's some pressure on the front. 36.8 kilometers per hour Not particularly fast for RGT, but at 1.3% gradient, which is what they're doing at the moment, although it's green on the profile, it's still 1%. So to push 36, 37 on 1% is probably still quite fierce, and I think will do some damage. And that, I think, you can count as an attack, even though it's on the green stretch of road. We are about to hit another little bit of shady orange and red, so let's see if there's some more damage done. As there's quite Timo Achenbach in there, Yavash, as you can see. These are names, and Said Keradine there, all regular names in here, as you'd expect. Cyril Leroux there as well. No, sorry, that's Cyril Berton. Beg your pardon, Frenchman. So what damage are we likely to do next? We've got one more little bit of gradient, and then we're heading, I'm afraid, for the Mazzolano, and I think that's where this race is going to be decided. Terry Wilkinson has been on the front quite a bit today, and he's doing another stint out there. Will that hurt him? He's from the No Pins racing team. They are, of course, in that light blue, red and white black shorts kit. We've seen him on the front quite a bit today. Hitherto, in the other races, they've been very, very good at breaking away. That's a bit of a large lineup. Don't forget, it isn't all the riders that count. I think it's first three across the line that count for his scores. And No Pins have been very, very good at teamwork and breakaways so far. And we're actually having a little bit of breakaway Shosh from Moon Riders. In fact, two Moon Riders getting away there. I think that's a peddler in the orange. No Pins not having any of that. They're chasing this down. Wouter Clays is the one at the top. John Beams and Peddlers now takes up the running. Wouter in second place. Two Moon Riders with him. I'm not sure what the gap back is. There's obviously no one on their wheel, but I don't think No Pins are going to let that go. They're not going to let that go lightly. We're on a descent. There's only one No Pins chasing here. This is interesting. And it's, Pokemotions, John Samet from Staffordshire. Now, that group's grown into... So something's happening on this descent. Now, it is hard. Two things happen on descent. Either, you're very good at this and you get away, or, my goodness, that is a gap back to the peloton. We could have two groups here, and I think that would be something new in this series. We've lost a few off the back there. You can see Keith Brown and a little group of disparate, about 5 people as they go around that hairpin. 2 behind them. This has splintered on the descent, which you wouldn't always expect, but it sometimes happens. You can see the leaders are on that very dark blue strip if you look at the bottom, and we see Wouter and the Schoch for Moon Riders in there with, as I say, John Beams of Peddlers. There's a little group behind them. If I think the little group behind catch these 3 so that you've got a group of something in the region of 10 riders, I think they can get away. Of course, I say this with those 2 massive climbs to come, and that is the enigma. We don't know who's a good climber here and who isn't. These 3 are actually pulling away. This is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. A Moon Rider's going to do what No Pins usually do. As I say, I think, don't hold your breath, because I think these 2 big climbs are going to be the decisive factor in this race. Now, Wouter's from the Flandrian region of Belgium. I'm sure he's used to going up a few of those climbs, but whether or not, in fact, they're quite steep. So I would tip Wouter to do all right on these. Daniel Schoch there from Germany. I'm not sure where he lives in Germany, so I'm not sure whether he's a natural climber or a habitual climber or not. Actually, I think the peloton is beginning to pull back the second group, and the second group is beginning to pull back the leaders. Said Keradine, now he had an enormously fantastic win recently in one of these, and they have the 2 No Pins riders. Daniel Schoch, I think this is all coming together. So my idea of the 2 groups of 10 is probably not happening. Things are very, very slow at the moment. This is quite clearly a climb. I'm not sure what the gradient is, but you can just look at the pace of this and see that the breakaway groups have been caught, but I dare say at the same time we're losing people off the back. Look how strung out this is becoming. It's becoming a line. Okay, this is the climb. This is the Mazzolano. 12%. Apparently it maxes out at 13. Well, that's according to the UCI's calculations when they used it for the. Oh, that has fragmented big time. Now, I think what we've got to look for next is like who gets to the top of this in reasonable. Is Timo Affenbach from Siegen in Germany, older than the other riders. Former artistic gymnast. Well, I think he's sitting pretty in this series, I should think, but maybe just dropping off a little bit. I don't know. The gap's not closing too much. Back to G Barnett there, the British rider. First place, John Beams from Pedlars, leading up the hill. John Beams, an accomplished rider. 27th place for James Ogilvie, the man from Kent, who formed OTR racing team. We've got quite a stellar lineup and one of the familiar features on RGT. Being gapped a little bit there by Keith Brown. He's got another OTR rider with him, not sure who that is, but a bit of teamwork there, guys. Oh, it's Peter Austin from Leatherhead in Surrey, just south of London, whom I sort of know well from my own races. Nice to see you, Peter. So a bit of teamwork there, and they're catching a no-pins rider. 305 watts, I think Peter's taking it steady up there. A very decent rider as well. And they've just caught one of the no-pins guys, and that's probably not a bad sign. I mean, if you're keeping up with the no-pins team, who have been dominant in this series, then that's... Oh, it's Kader Alumi. Now, Kader Alumi is a good rider up from the Midlands. Alex Plaisir, the organiser, in 30th position, steadily riding up for Ratio Racing, who are, of course, in 3rd place in this series. If you go past one of the mile markers, or kilometre markers, up this climb. I don't know how far they've got to go because we haven't got the profile at the bottom, but you can see visually how steep it is, and it doesn't always give you the full. Here we go. We've got. Oh my goodness, they're only halfway up, and it's fragmented like this. So, I think if somebody gets over the top and can maintain their speed down the 8% here, it's still telling. John Stevens from Southam in the UK, another seasoned rider. Looking at his age, I'm not sure everybody likes their age having coming up on these, but I think we did get permissions from everybody before they were published, so he's obviously not too bothered about that. So, of course, with age comes experience, so don't knock it. Don't knock it. And again, lean and fit enough by any measure. So we watch John Stevens pulling away from Alex Plaisir here as we go up the Mezzalone, sorry. Getting a little bit towards the top. You can see the gradient does ease off a little bit towards the top. You know, instead of being red on that profile at the bottom, it goes orange, then it's a lighter shade of red. So we look from the helicopter, we've got the Frenchman Guillaume Sophili, and I think it's Michel, no, I can't remember Jujon's name at the moment. It's Mathieu, that's it, Mathieu Jujon, and Said Keradine in a little group there. Don't forget, this does have the chance to, and this is the leading group as well, it's there's always a chance that the descent pulls things back together. This has been known. If the group actually carry on pedalling hard down the hill, they might just sort of hold everybody else off. Sometimes you find regroupings. We have to wait and see. Now if we look on the left-hand side, we can see that the gap between 6th to 7th place is a telling one, because this little group here, this first 6, are pulling away, and they've got a gap of over 50 metres back to the next group. And by the time you get to 11th, you're at Wouter Clays. You're at over 100 metres. Is 100 metres bridgeable? Well, maybe, just maybe. But again, look, we've got 2 no-pins riders in here. I think no-pins have probably got themselves in the break enough to get some good points here. We shall have to see. John Beams pulling away again. John Beams does like to do this, and he does light up the races with his little attacks. This is quite impressive. It's gone down to 3.1%, and I think this is the little lull before the next hard bit. And I think he's taking the opportunity to see if he can gap everybody and see whether they're willing to fight back. Said Keradine, though, unsurprisingly, not having any of that. He's leading the chase back. Will it fragment the 6? It's slightly fragmented, but I think I think most of them will be close enough at the top, so it doesn't make too much difference on the way down. Somebody's been distanced at the back. Bonner, by the looks of it, Bill Bonner, a no pins rider. So that means no pins. The first group is now down at about 3. Mathieu Jujon in 4th now. He's probably just about in touch. Bonner is out of touch. So no pins. So we're down to a front 4 with only 1 no pins rider in it. But don't forget, if Bill Bonner can stay where he is and collect points, this is a team. This is a team competition. So it's your whole. It's not your whole teams. It's the number of riders that count at the end. So if you've got, let's say you've got 2 riders who finish 1st and 2nd, you will get, for example, 100 points for being 1st, 90 for 2nd. It goes down to 80 for 3rd, and 75 for 4th, and so on. And the best 5 riders you got, their scores are added together, and the team with the most points. I think I might have said 3 earlier, but it's 5. And your first 5 riders' results count together. So even if Bill Bonner does get distanced, but manages to finish, say, 5th or 6th, he's still going to amalgamate a lot of points for no pins, which will add up in their 5-rider total. So you want the highest score in the race, but of course the one who gets the highest score then gets the lowest points for the series. So the team that collectively finishes first will get 1 point, and it's low points you want for the series. So with no pins down to 1 rider, we're down to Mathieu Jujon and William Toffoli. So you have 2 Frenchmen, a Brit, and I think Said is Moroccan, if I remember rightly. Not 100% sure, but I think that's Moroccan flag as well, so that's probably right. Now don't forget, Mathieu Jujon is riding for Copa Hopers, who are in 2nd place, and William Toffoli is also a Copa Hoper. So those yellow jerseys are the Copa Hoper team. Now, if Copa Hoper have got 3 riders decently placed a little bit further back, this could see them, for the first time this series, beat no pins. So we're over the top and we're on this descent. Let's see if there's any coming together. If you look at the white dots strewn out over that, over the top of that climb, the Mazzoloni there. Hi, Francois Ike from Belgium, who's cheering on Moon Riders. Nice to hear from you, Francois. Look forward to seeing you soon. I'm sure this is a race for you. You like the hills, don't you, Francois? Thanks for checking in, and good luck to the Moon Riders. As I was saying, you can see how strung out the field is over the top of the Mazzoloni mountain there. So this is not going to be anything like a bunch sprint, whatever happens, even on the next climb. The 4 at the front, and now a clear 175 metres in front of 5th place, which is still Bill Bonner, who's joined by a couple of other riders, Christophe Pontin from down there, Clermont-Ferrand in France, and Jay Collison, Henry Farrell, and a few others. I think there's a bunching up of the next group, so it is possible they can do a chase, but they're going to have to do it across this valley. As you can see from the profile now, we've got a little bit of a valley. John Beams goes on another one of those trademark tests. Go on, John, you do light up the races. I think John probably doesn't worry too much whether or not the brake sticks solo. It's whether or not he can drop somebody off the back, and that's the interesting thing at the moment. Because you can see Mathieu Jujon momentarily was caught off the back, but has now got back with the other 3. I think it's hard for John to stay out on his own if those 3 work together. And bear in mind that 2 of them on the Copa Hopers team might well do that. And even though no pins are their rivals, it might be worth it. Pedlers team, Daniel Neusbach from Germany, Jez Reed, John Beams, as we've seen there, and Kenneth Vancino making up the Pedlers team in that recognisable orange kit. That's if you can still see it, because I think John Beams is absolutely flying off the front. Well, if this... Saeed Karadine did this the other day. I mean, there's been some fantastic solo rides from no pins riders, and we're seeing it here from John Beams, who, it has to be said, has lit up all the races so far without getting the best of rewards. And he would be, I think, apart from his rivals thinking differently, a popular winner for the neutral because of the way he's ridden it across the series. That gap is getting bigger and bigger. That is getting bigger and bigger. Thank you, Rebecca Beams. You're not related at all, are you, by any chance? You seem to have a similar surname, but well done for you for getting in touch and cheering on John. We think he's marvellous. He's really been great in some of these races, and as I say, for the neutral and the Beams family, of course, he would be a popular winner if he can hold this out. But we've still got the SEMA Gallisterna to come. Ooh, it's going to be tough. Will John have the legs? Now, these three are now, what are we looking at? 100 metres behind. That is quite decisive. I think if John gets over the top of this SEMA Gallisterna with anything like 75 to 100 metres distance, I think he should sail all the way home. Guillaume Toffoli, pumping out 227. This isn't particularly high watts. The rain doesn't really inhibit them. It's all aesthetic, just like the cobbles earlier. I mean, just looking at that, 36, 37. I'm not sure what gradient they might be on, but that's not particularly fast for a flat section. So I suspect there must be some small gradient. Yeah, it's slightly up at 0.6%. So it probably explains why it's not a little bit higher. And of course, they haven't got a big group, so it's hard to keep at that sort of pace. If you've got this group's slightly bigger. I mean, one more rider. It'd be interesting to see how fast they are going. We've got Jay Collison, Bill Bonner, Gavache, and Christophe Quentin riding in there. So we've got an Anglo-French bit of Anglo-French unity going on there. That would be novel. French fishermen probably wouldn't be too happy about that, given the proposed protests over fishing rights since Brexit. Jérôme Collisson, about 243. So that's not really chasing hard, I would suggest. But as I say, I might be doing them a disservice because I'm not really sure what the terrain is like. When looking at it visually, I think it might be slightly uphill. Looking at the visuals. There's someone just in front of them that you can see just on the horizon. I'm not sure if that's the other three and they're closing the gap or not. Here are the other three. You see Said Carradine there for no pins, Mathieu Drujon and Guillaume Toffoli. Oh, is Said doing one of his little attacks? Now, he is quite a good solo rider, don't underestimate this. And the Copa Hopers just shutting that one down. Yes, thank you, Mohammed El Harmi. I assume you're either Morocco. I suppose you're either doing that from Morocco or just a fellow Moroccan from somewhere and supporting your countryman. And well done for doing so. Thanks for getting in touch, Mohammed. And certainly, Said is a great rider. He has had some emphatic victories, as we've seen already in this La Copa series. I think he's putting the pressure on the two Copa Hopers here. This is quite emphatic. The only thing I would say is I wonder if it's wasted energy, because given that this is a team competition, if all you do is just drag the others, and more support for the pedallers and John Beams coming from Henrik Mahn. Yeah, I think you're Danish, Henrik, if I remember rightly. I'm not sure, might be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you're Scandinavian from memory. This is putting the pressure on, and Mathieu Drujon just falling back a little bit there as we're starting to go uphill. And Said can put the pressure on. Oh, there is a closing there, isn't there? There is definitely a closing there, I think, of the next group, which is probably not a bad thing for them. If those two, if that lot can bunch up, that's probably not a bad thing. Although, having said that, let's recognise that right in front of them is that big red splodge. They're already on 4.7%, and it's looking sort of greeny orangey as that group with Cyril Berton joining in, and that group getting a little bit bigger. I think that's probably the third, what I will call a third group. and that's from 5th down to, well, at least 12th now, and probably a couple more. Yeah, 5th to 12th, we call that Group 3 on the road, down to 2% as they just get onto that little green section before the big climb. But look how long and steep that is. Officially on the UCI course, remember this was the 2020 World Championship course. The professionals did this 9 times. We're only doing 1 lap, 28.7 kilometres, and we've got 13.4 of those left. So we're over halfway, but look what is in front of us. This massive red blob, if you look at the bottom and centre of your screen, where that light bulb shape is, and the white dots are just riders strung all along this course. It has done so much damage with all that climbing, but we are hitting the big climbs now. Look at this, up to 12% for John Beams. So I hope all you John Beams fans, that's Rebecca and everybody else, are cheering him on. Look, cobbles uphill. Oh, it only needs to start raining to make it worse. But come on, John, this is 12%. This is tough. Now, he has got 88, 90 kilometres. He was over 100 before, but as this hill takes its toll, you can't maintain any semblance of closing that down. So he must be gritting his teeth and breathing out of every orifice at the moment. Down to 9%, and it probably feels easy compared to what he's just done. But John Beams is putting in a massive beef here. Henrik Marr back again with cheering on Christophe Quentin, and he's encouraging the next group. This is that will be Group 3 to close the gap. And I think if they do, that would make it very interesting, because whilst the first 4 places may have gone up the road, remember this is a team sport, so there's no point you finishing first. Well, there's no point you finishing first. It's lovely to finish first. Thank you, Chris Smart, saying he's going to win solo. Well, we've seen him do it, haven't we, Chris? Okay, does anybody run betting on this? I mean, maybe you should be betting on who wins this. I would never discount Said. He's a class rider. Can he catch John Beams? No. I mean, he's gone up to 100 metres between the two. I think if John gets to the top, I think Said's going to have to work very, very hard to do that. Oh, and maybe Williams just sneaking away from... No, Said's put his foot down. You're not getting away. But I think Mathieu Jujon has slipped out of that 3. He has. The gradient's taken its toll on Mathieu. Now, can Mathieu hold out there, or will he get caught by the next group? As a rider who's ridden a lot, you can see Bill Bonner's just behind him. So no, I think that's done. In fact, in reality, the gap between the second group and the third group is getting very, very narrow now. It's down to about 30-40 metres. It's strung out. You can see on the left-hand side there that the the riders not all huddled together. I mean, there's a little group there from 8th to 12th that probably all sitting together in a little bit of a bunch. But on this gradient, which is 12% here for these riders, it is strung out. John Beams, 117 metres for Said Carradine. I hope you're all cheering hard at home, because this is, if Said can do anything about this, then I am going to be so impressed. It's going to be remarkable. And he's got William sitting on his wheel there, and not a bad place to be. If I wanted to sit on a wheel, I wouldn't mind being on Said Carradine's wheel. But it's John Beams is the man who's lighting this one up. And as they go up, you look at that gradient, 12%, and it looks like 12%, doesn't it, visually? So John, now 125, he's pulling away. He is pulling away. Now, let's have a look what happens next. He gets to the top of this thing. He gets off the red section, but it's still green, so it falls flat for a little while. There's a little bit of orange before you get to really to the top. Then you get that massive downhill. And the thing it's still 10% here, look, and wow, this is amazing. He's holding about 124 metres back to the others. They've got about 30 metres on the big group, and that might be interesting, because you see John Beams here, third along there, proudly leading this race and doing it for Pedlars, with Daniel Nurschbauer and John Reed, Kenneth Vancina making up the Pedlars team. Southborough District Wheelers, club from Tunbridge Wells in Kent. We love them, regulars, and they have some great riders. And they are, of course, remember, a club that provides all riders from within the club. Most of these other teams are made up from people effectively across the globe, mostly Europe, of course. But Southborough District Wheelers really are people who live around Tunbridge Wells making up the team. And to be amongst this company with the local club side is immense and impressive. And we always say a big chapeau to the Southborough guys. Well done. Hi there, Julian. So we are taking a little turn on the front. So here we have the OTR racing team, formed, of course, by James Ogilvie, second along. Quite a few French names in there, isn't there? There's Mike Gilbert, Patrick Oliver, and Cyril Leroy, along with some more Anglo-Saxon names with Keith Aitchison and Peter Brookwavel, making up the OTR lineup. Keith Aitchison might have an Anglo-Saxon name, but apparently he lives in Spain, age 62, and what fantastic! It's fantastic. Riding, there must be the Barcelona sunshine that keeps you this fit, then, mustn't it? Michael Gilbert, despite having a French name, lives in Maryland, USA. So just about everything I said in that little analysis of the OTR team is falling apart when all the details come up. So Michael Gilbert, probably rather than Michel Gilbert. Not that my French accent and pronunciation is that great. Oh, I finally got one right. Patrick Oliver from Gouin in France, which I believe is between Vannes and Nantes, up there in Brittany on the South Brittany coast. Age 58. And Cerradine is getting caught by Bill Bonner. So I think there is going to be a group on the descent. Peter Brookwavel from Berkshire in the UK. I'm not sure where in Berkshire. It's quite a long, thin county. So anywhere between Slough and Hungerford, I would imagine. I wonder if this does come to a group. Because if it does, John Beams needs to start worrying, because group power with the draft might just start putting things together. We have a look at the Ratio Racing lineup. They wear the black kit with the sort of orange double R. Remember, you heard it first here that in a couple of races ago, but Ratio Racing stands. Ratio is a Welsh word for racing, so it's racing. Jorgen van Beur and Nick Greenhalgh, current champion of the West London VR Series, won that very exciting duel in the last race against Ned Bowen, and wasn't that a thriller? So current champion of West London VR every other Wednesday, a race I run, so I'm bound to plug it, you might say. Joris Shepherd and Alex Pleasure from Germany, along with Alex Rockwell, making up the Ratio Racing team. And they have plenty of other star riders as well, but that's the team names that we have here for you today. Now that group's got together again, and suddenly there are 2 no-pins riders and 2 Copa Hopers. So now this becomes strategic, doesn't it? Because it's whatever happens, it's unlikely that one team is, or there's a possibility that it's unlikely that one team's going to outdo the other. Because previously we had 2 Copa Hopers and only 1 no pins, which meant that 2 of them were guaranteed. Or it looked like, oh my goodness me, what's happened to Saeed? That does surprise me. That does surprise me. Maybe that tactic was to put him out front to bridge up for Bill Bonner to bridge up. I'm confused. But I think this now becomes tactical, because they've got to look at each other and say, well, we don't want to carry the other 2 to the line only to be pipped in a sprint finish. And if this little group does stay together, then a sprint finish for this group is going to be mega exciting. So stay where you are and keep watching. Well, we've got 8.9 kilometres to go. These guys will have a little bit more than that, because the 8.9 kilometres to go, which is now 8.8 at the top of your screen, is for John Beams, who we see here. And on the bottom of your screen, we have the Cycling Club Denmark team. Now, we had a fantastic little race, a Danish race, last Friday that Cycling Club Denmark ran themselves in Copenhagen, and that was absolutely brilliant. It was on the Leuven course, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think it was organised by Fleming Back, who you can see with the yellow metal ribbon around his neck. We've got Jakob Skogsgaard and Kurt Pedersen and Rasmus Feldball. Rasmus Philball is, I've seen him win some races on here, the exceptional performances. Rather like John Beams here, although I have to say, in comparison, John Beams is doing this over two very, very steep climbs. And there's the rain that I forecast a little bit earlier. Of course, it makes no difference. Rebecca Beams, there's a large pool of sweat on the floor. No, Rebecca, it's the rain you can see on your screen. You've got a leaking roof. Go on, John. I'm sure if you win this, it'll be worth every drop of that sweat, and you can replace all the fluids in your body with some champagne. It would be such an achievement to win this. But the group here, now, will they work together or will they look at each other? 6.4%. It's another one of those little ramps that you can see there. We've got two more orange sections after this one. It depends what you could describe as orange, I suppose. But when we get over the crest of this one, there's two more little ramps, and it's going to be interesting. What's the difference? The distance is massive. I had no idea what the distance was. The distance is massive. 300 metres to John Beams. You keep sweating, John, and the champagne. Right, Rebecca, I think you need to nip down to the shop down the road and get some champagne ready. I think John Beams is going to do this. With only two more ramps, even with the class act that's following. I mean, we've got some great riders here, haven't we? And I don't think they're going to catch him. That was interesting for a moment. I thought there was going to be a split between the two Copa Hopa riders. Be interesting to see what their output is on that, because I'm not sure how hard they're working. They probably realise John Beams 550 metres away, although he's crested the. He's going downhill and they're sort of only just cresting it, so they'll probably make some of that gap up on the descent. Look at that, 64 kph John's doing down that slope, and he hasn't even got to the dark blue section yet. I wonder how fast he can actually go. Minus 3.8%. Subsided a little bit down to 54, 55. I'm not sure how fast you can push it. You can tell I'm probably not the best person to ask, because I'm not the one doing the fastest speeds down the slopes. I think I've hit over 70 personally. But look, and he's over 70 now. He's on that dark blue bit, 71, 72. What is the gap? 6. Oh goodness, 660 meters. This is. I'm sorry, Alex Plager. I know I've nothing to do with me and not my business. You win by this sort of distance, I think you should get some extra points. This is phenomenal. Just look at that gap. Absolutely phenomenal. So what's this group going to do about it? I mean, they've still got 180 metres on the next guys, which I think they're capable of holding. But what do they do? Because we've got a big tactical battle here. They've got to sprint for the finish, haven't they? Because Copa Hopa's are second in the league table. No pins are top. There's 2 points in it. Remember, they're not two finisher points. They're two team points. You want the lowest amount of team points you can get. So really and truly, third and fourth is no good to either of these two riders, because they're handing points to the other teams. And remember too, that the gaps between the points, it's not as if you finish second or third and there's 1 point in it. There are big gaps. So for example, if you finish second, you get 90 points. You finish third, you get 80 points. Fourth, 75, and fifth, 70. So if your two riders are fourth and fifth, then they're only going to get 145 points compared to 170 points for if the other two come third and fourth. So you're looking at a 25-point difference. Now, of course, remember it's the first 5 riders, so it depends what other people in your team do. But this has got, if they can hold this together, this has got to be fought out to the line. And I'm just wondering, I think it's, no, they are together again. This could be a fantastic sprint finish, and I think earlier in the commentary I suggested there wouldn't be a sprint finish, but I think we might have a fantastic one if this holds together. Thank you, Mohammed Elami, cheering on Said Keradine. Keep fighting till the end. I've watched Said ride before. I think he fights to the end. He really does. I think your wish will be Seen, Mohammed, and thank you very much for getting in contact and watching. So this is holding together. I'm not sure quite to what extent this is teamwork or people are just sitting on the front. Up to 330 WhatsApp, well, it's down to 280 now. This is Saeed riding at 53 kph, cadence of naught all of a sudden. I'm not sure, 77 cadence, a bit like me really, and a heart rate of 172 is the data at the bottom. No pins guys spending a little bit more time on the front than the Copa Hopers, I would suggest. I say that, and maybe not. Jerome Collisson. Yeah, so two Frenchmen, a Brit and a Moroccan. So here we get the next group on the road. My old friend Andrei Krajewski and Nick Greenhouse, who I know very well too. Gavash, Wouter Claes. We've had him up before, 35 years old, grinning like a Cheshire cat, and he's probably not grinning right now because he's on the front of this little group, but riding there, of course, in the Moon Riders kit. We see Ratio Racing, two riders in there. Nick Greenhouse, as I said before, current champion of my West London VR series. We're one race into Series 4. If you want to join in, there's still time. Well, we've got one more ramp to go if you look at the bottom profile, and I think after that, I think if John gets over that with anything, well, mind you, this is down to 400, and we've got 3.1 kilometres to go. I don't think they can make that, but remember there are four of them riding together, and John Beam's sweat might just be beginning to flood the house. I'm sure Rebecca can fill us in as to how much, how deep the water is, or the sweat is in the house. But they're nudging it out a bit to 420 just there, as we saw. Andre and Wouter, Nick's group, way back on sort of what have we got there? So there's a group of down to number 10. You've got Christophe Contant and Joris Scheppers. Joris Scheppers, sorry, we can focus on now. So Joris Scheppers, the Belgian there, is who we're looking at, and he's 400 behind Christophe Contant. Keith Aitchison, any chance of looking down the field? Well, that's down to the producer, not me, but I would love to. And I think it's important that we do have a look down the field, actually, if we can do that. We're down to 13th at the moment. We've got Keith Brown there, G. Barnett, Henry Farrell and Cyril Berton riding as a little group there. I mean, this is fragmented, but it's nice when it's in little groups like this because they can actually work together. Two Southborough riders in it, that's fantastic, and these are good places for Southborough. If you can get a couple up in that sort of level, that's brilliant. Nudging down to 17th, 18th, 19th, Janssens and Cyril I'm just trying to see. Ehogan, Norwegian, and Berriens. I think his first name, Joe Berriens, isn't it? John Sammer. Oh, riding together with it's a Pokemotion little trio there, isn't there? So John Sammet alongside Jan Linden and Kader Alumi. A nice little Pokemotion group there. They're chasing the group in front. I wonder if they can get work together and get away. Here we are back at 25th. A couple of Moon Riders working together again. John Stevens and Daniel Schrach. And I think this is the thing. Once you do get distance like this, if you can find a little group, ride with them to the finish. John Stevens from Southam in the UK there with the Moon Riders kit. If you can ride with people, you know, you can have your own little duel at the end, or if you're on the same team like these two, it may not matter, or maybe they have a rivalry. The Baggy from Southborough District Wheelers back there in 26th. I think we're going back to he's 240 metres. Well, he's a bit adrift, isn't he? Because he's in no man's land and having to work on himself. We go back to Timo there again in the Moon Riders kit, he's got a little group just behind him about to catch him, which includes Jan Decker, James Ogilvie, and Peter Austin. Who else is there? Matt Looker for no pins, and as I say, James Ogilvie I've already mentioned. There's a Copa Hoper in there as well. At 33, is that Chris Jones? Yeah, it's Chris Johns, I think. Oh, sorry, it's Jones, isn't it? Not sure what his first name is. John Beams, what have we got? 400 metres and 740 metres to go. I think I'll stick my neck out and suggest that John is about to get one of the most impressive victories we are likely to see in this series, and I think certainly, with due respect to everything that No Pins have done in this is probably the best victory today. 500 metres to go, 400 metres ahead of the next rival, where we're looking forward to a bunch sprint. John Beams, I think you're going to get the most aggressive rider award in this. There probably isn't one, but if there was one, you should get it. John, this is amazing. You've just gone over 2 very steep climbs. You've done most of this solo on your own, not sat in a group, and absolutely emphatically distanced everybody. We can see the finishing line coming up. This is a class act. Well done, John. And don't forget to mop the floor up when you finish, otherwise Rebecca will be very upset with you, making a mess of the house. I bet she's very proud. I hope she's got the champagne corks popping. Well done, John. Tonight's winner, emphatically, for the Pedlars. But here we come for the next bit, the sprint finish between these 4. Now, this is critical because it's great as, you know, getting 2nd, 3rd, 4th is personally, individually. This is about teams. This is a team competition. And it is important that, Guillaume Toffoli's going early. Now that's 200 metres. I think he's going to hold it. It's going to need a big surge. He's going to hold it. Oh, and Bill Bonner's off the bat. And, I think I just lost that. I didn't quite see. I think the Copa Hopers got 2nd and 3rd, but they certainly got 2nd and 4th if they didn't. Here comes the next group. And you get that little sprint towards the finish. The results will come up on the right hand side. You can see John Beams from Pedlars already there. I think Copa Hopers got 2nd and 3rd, but we shall have to wait and see. Gavache coming in there now. Christophe Quentin from Rhone Valley in France coming up towards the finishing line. I'm sure Christophe knows how to do a bit of climbing in the Massif Central down there. Waiting for a few more results to populate on the table on the left. Joris Shepherds, the Belgian, coming up next. We will get an analysis of the times as the results populate. This is of course strung out. You can see that in the bottom right hand corner. So here we are, and it was a 2nd and 3rd for the Copa Hopers. Saeed Keradar and Bill Bonner, really impressive again, Saeed. Absolutely brilliant. I'm sure Mohammed's a little bit disappointed you didn't pick the other guys on the line, but fantastic performances. But they must be a tad disappointed to have lost those 2 places and 25 points to the Copa Hopers. Henry Farrell coming in next, and a couple of Southborough riders crossing the line ahead of Cyril Berton. Peter Alumi coming in from the Midlands in the UK. Riding there, of course, for Locomotion. Now, let's have a look at this. There's a 25-point difference, but remember, there's still other riders to come in. Unfortunately, live on air, we can't collate. Well done, Kader, just coming across the line there. We can't calculate all the team positions. The riders stood at the side of the road are the ones that finished, and the camera was just following people who've already crossed the line. Keith Aitchison says, perfect, thanks, not riding tonight, just wanted to see where my teammates were. Go OTR. Go everybody. Thanks for getting in touch, Keith. Make sure you're riding next time, mate. Be nice to see you on the track. Although I do really appreciate all the messages coming up. It's fantastic. Support across the RGT community. We have some of the Moon Riders coming in, and that's fantastic. Thank you for that, Mohammed. His Beams fantastic win. You're dead right, Mohammed. I'm sure you're a bit disappointed that your man didn't finished slightly higher up, but let's face it, Saeed's a good rider, but John Beams was just amazing today. So a couple of Moon Riders crossing the line. Let's have a look at the results on the right as we see Di Baggy coming in for Southborough District Wheelers. So first place John Beams, which we know all about from Pedlars. William Toffoli and Jerome Collisson coming in second and third. A gap of 34-35 seconds between John Beams and the next four. With Saeed Keradine and Bill Bonar coming in for No Pins. And this is the first time I think No Pins haven't had somebody on the podium. So this is quite a remarkable race. Wouter Clay is coming in for Moon Riders in sixth place. Well done, Wouter. Belgium, Mathieu Jujon, Frenchman, coming in next with Nick Greenhouse and other Ratio Racing. And Andrea Krajewski coming in for Ratio Racing at ninth. So you can see Ratio Racing have picked up points there at 8th and 9th. And I'm trying to think if there's any other Ratio Racing ones in there. But yes, you've got 12th, Joris Sheppers as well. So Ratio Racing might have done quite well in this because they've got riders, several riders in the top 20, which will score them a lot of points. So despite that emphatic win for Pedlars and that fantastic second and third for Copa Hopers, it takes a bit of working out to work out how many other points have got to be accumulated before we know who won the team competition. You can look this up on RGTDB, it will be published. Give them a few hours. I'm sure Alex Blazer's got more on his plate right now, because I think he hasn't quite finished the race yet. But they will put it up. I can't announce it here, but I think it's going to be. I'm going to be quite excited to have a look myself later, because I think Ratio Racing have pulled back a little bit here. So the top three have. Well, I say top three. It may be that No Pins are a bit disappointed, and the second and third place teams have actually caught up a little bit, which will be great for the series with two rides left. Chris Smart congratulating John Beams again, and I think, you know, every bit. Come on, Rebecca, you should be congratulating Mr. Beams. Get on with it. It's emphatic. So carrying on, so you see we were at Andrei Kalishki at 9, and you can see we're back to about 50 seconds. So it is, there's Alex Plaisir coming in now, Ratio Racing, the organiser of this event. So he'll get straight off his bike. Oh, there's Rebecca. Well done, Rebecca. I'm sure you're very proud, and deservedly so. Yeah, I think you should be making everybody in the family sit and watch this again, just to enjoy it. It was a super ride, and congratulations to the whole Beams family. So going back to the right hand side, Christophe Quentin, you're starting to get from Gav Ash at 10. You start getting over a minute back from John Beams, and then even between Gav Ash and Christophe Quentin and Joris Sheppers, there you start getting big gaps of 20 odd seconds as the riders are strung out, and you can see them all coming in here one by one as Dave Ellis comes in I think 38th position, is that? Yeah, 38th position, and we've got one more to come, two more to come, sorry. Julian Fussell from Southborough, and M Jones, whose name, Matt Jones, sorry, Matt Jones. So Julian Fussell and Matt Jones still to come in. Julian, of course, is Southborough District Wheelers. Dave Ellis pumping it out. He's still got 1.4 kilometres to go, so you can see how well John's done in this race. You know, because the people, there's people in this race who are, there's Julian there for Southborough, taking it nice and casually, knowing that he's going to keep me talking. I'm sure that's why you're doing it, Julian. Make me talk for longer. This has been a great race, and I congratulate Alex on picking some good courses as well. If you just look at the profile, you just knew this was a race that was going to test everybody, and it certainly has. And when you test everybody like that, the cream rises to the top, and that cream today was certainly John Beams. I should imagine, is there a party going on at the Beams house afterwards? The after party. Going back to the listings, we got down to Christopher and Joris. Henry Farrell for Moon Riders there, Keith Brown for Southborough, Great result, Keith. Well done. Greg Barnett, Cyril Bertrand, Kader Aluni from Pokemotion, Joe Benians, Eric Hogan, and Cyril Heroy making up the top 20. If you want to see the full placings, we can sort of get the gist of it on the left-hand side of your screen there as we look at Dave Ellis coming in. You can see where, well, you can certainly see the 29th down to his 30th there, Peter. James Ogilvie at 29th, Peter Austin at 30th, Alex Pager at 34th. As we go down, Daniel WG at, I'm not sure who WG is, but 35. That's for some reason 36 seems missing out of that list. I'm not sure why. There's something odd about that on the left. Anyway, 35th was WG and 37th was, I wonder if it's one of the drone cameras got caught in that. Daniel Nojberg, Dave Ellis, Julian Fussell, Matt Jones, and then the three at the bottom, 41, 42, 43, you can ignore because they're camera bikes. I'm not sure what happened to 36 though. We'll have to look on DGB, RGTDB, sorry. So go to www.rgtdb.com, I think it is, and you will get the team results as soon as they're published. This is a great series. It's been a great race. We're not going till the last man crosses the line, so get a move on that. As you can see, I like those little signs they have at the edge of the road telling you where you are. It's great when you're not from the area. The only thing is when you're from the area, I will tell you they're slightly inaccurate. Because on the races I produce on the West London series, I know that I know where we are on the roads because I made them up from local roads, and those signs are not always quite where the borders between two towns or villages really are. But I think it adds something to it. It gives you some feel of where you are at. We're in northeastern Italy at Imola, near Bologna. And don't forget the last part of this course, the bit that Julian's enjoying at the moment, is actually around the world famous Imola race course. We started on it a little bit and sort of do a lap of it at the end. So probably why Julian's enjoying the ride, because he can say that he's now ridden the famous Imola Formula One racing circuit. If you've ever ridden on racing circuits on your bike, isn't the tarmac nice and smooth? It's a bit boring going around in circles, perhaps, but boy, the tarmac's lovely, isn't it? It's they do pamper those Formula One riders. So Julian now just rolling in the last couple hundred metres. Matt's quite a way behind at 2 kilometres, so I think that might be a little bit of a long wait. He's still pedalling. You see 2.2 kilowatts per. Yeah, there's Matt. So I think have a look at the track again. You can see the profile at the top, right? That first little bump, not significant, but it was the second one and the third one out of the visible bumps on that series on the profile at the top. You can see that it populating itself with white. Those were the two climbs, the second and third ones, that really made the difference. But there were lots of little bumps in between. Remember, you can see the little yellow line just going around that lap of the motor racing circuit at the bottom of your screens there. I suspect we're probably not. Well, Matt's on a 4.6 centre. He's on that last ramp. I'm not sure whether we are going to watch Matt all the way home. 2.5 kilometres. I don't mind if you don't. And I'm not sure. This is Dirty Dan's team, I assume. I hadn't realised they've got a kit. I think this is the best team in it, and I didn't realise there was an actual kit that Dirty Dan's team had. So chapeau! It's quite a cool kit as well, isn't it? And yes, not bad at all. A nice little orange moustache, cycling helmet and glasses, water bottle and dirt. I think dirt was an anagram for something. I can't think what it was now. There was a cycling anagram for dirt, wasn't there? But I'm sure somebody can help me out and send a little message in and say what it is as we watch Matt in 40th place, clocking up some points for Dirty Dan's race team. We look at the scenery. This is, of course, stock scenery. We're not going to see the real Imola road race track on a Magic Roads course, but I think this is what makes RGT the Magic Roads, because certainly along with people like Alex who runs this event, and others like James Ogilvie, myself running my West London DR races, we make up courses, and the scenery looks pretty much the same because we get this stock scenery, but we're able to give you a different race every time, one you haven't done before, and this is what makes RGT great. Other platforms you have to ride the same courses that are already on there. We can shake this up, we can make our series a little bit more varied, and we've all got our own themes. You know, certain Damon Bates, Dad's Inside Riding Trainers, that was it. I knew there was one. Thank you, Damon, for saving me. Dad's Inside Riding Trainers, and I think some of the lads in this are too young to be dads personally, but and there's a couple in there old enough to be granddads, aren't there? So what's granddads? That would be G-Dirt, wouldn't it? That sounds like something out of a Snoop Dogg record, isn't it? G-Dirt, down with the G's. So as we watch Matt coming along, as I say, this is stock scenery, so there's no little landmarks I can point out. So it's rather like the you know, commentators on the Tour de France. They get a nice little road book telling them that that helicopter shot of a chateau was built in the 17th century and was ransacked during the Revolution or something. I don't get the pleasure of that. I just tell you this is stock scenery, but it's well worth stock scenery, because otherwise, if you did it like other platforms, you'd just be riding around a route that you'd done 100 times. You'd know the scenery like the back of your hand anyway. So I think ultimately the Magic Roads is what makes RGT such a great racing platform, along with other features like its use of the draft, the way it's programmed, and of course the braking on the corners, which not every platform uses. So as I say, I'm just filling in now. We've got 800 meters for Matt. We stay to the bitter end. We applaud everybody, and don't forget, whatever Matt's done in here is probably better than I would have done. So let's congratulate him and see it for what it's worth. So the Dad's Inside riding team, Dirty Dan's. It's got a Y on the end, Damon. Is it dirty, isn't it, for the team? So I wonder if Dad's Inside Riding Trainers Young. There's an older team called Dirto or something for older riders. Who knows? As RGT expands, we'll have to have more and more team names. But well done, Dirty Dan's, for coming up with that name. It's my favourite in this competition. 380 odd meters to go for Matt. Keep going, and don't forget there's points at the end there for your team and for you, and you'll be able to tell your grandchildren, of course, that you rode in this world famous race, the one that John Beams smashed at the front and left everybody in his wake. Awesome ride, John Beams, let's not forget. But everybody counts, and it gives me enormous pleasure to say Matt is steaming towards. Go on, give it an extra few pedal strokes, Matt, just to knock a couple of seconds off your time. We come through the finishing line. To wrap up, La Copa Race 4. Don't forget, go on RGTDB to check out all the team standings. There again is how it finished individually. The team standings will be collated by Alex Beja after the race and put up shortly on RGTDB. John Beams, absolutely amazing. One of probably undoubtedly the best win of the series. But what about the next four? That was exciting, wasn't it? William Toffoli, Jérôme Collisson, Saïd Keridane and Bill Bonner battling it out, and Copa Hopers getting second and third above No Pins, who dominated the series to date, and clawing 25 points there. We just need to find out how the other riders in their teams have fared to get a real evaluation of how much difference that has meant. But all four of them rode fantastically, and Wouter Clay's coming in next, Belgium, with Mathieu Jujon and my old mate Nick Greenhalgh and Andrzej Krajewski making up to ninth, and that's Gavash coming in 10th. So that's that. I think we're at the end. There's nothing else really to say. Make sure you have a look at the results later. 2 more races to go. Thrilling series, and congratulations to Alex Pleasure for putting it together. Thank you, Damon Bates and ZMS, for putting on some excellent pictures again and giving me another dry throat. Now, where's the beer? See you next time. Bye.